Second, I just want to talk about our continuing CI/CD improvements, specifically adding a new repo, Azure Repos. This is a very common Azure service. A lot of people use it. So here you can see in the video, if you want to use it, you just have to set up an application in Azure DevOps. When you set up that application, it's going to give you an app ID and an app secret. The org admin just needs to go into the org settings and configure those settings in the system. Once that's done, we can now connect to Azure Repos, and the user profile just has to be synced up, just like GitHub, if you're familiar with that current integration. And now all of the assets in the projects can be seamlessly integrated. We'll also be adding features like git ignore in June, so you can exclude certain files. We'll also be adding support for folders by syncing up the project space and having the folders created as projects. So you can see here in Azure Repos, we'll support all the same actions that we support today in GitHub. We'll also add a hard reset option, so you can revert to the current status. But here you can just see I'm showing adding a file in the repo, and it gets synced up to the version that's in SnapLogic. So right here, I'm browsing. I'm just going to add a file in Azure Repos. And then once that's done, I'll just commit the change. So now in the repo, there is a new file. Then we go back to SnapLogic. We just do a git pull. You can see that there's a new file. And if you do a quick refresh, you'll be able to see that's been added and shows us tracking git status. You can be sure to pay attention to this column, git status. This is a feature we've added fairly recently also that allows you to see the difference between your local and remote. So now here I'm going to go the other way. I'm just going to add a file in SnapLogic, make a couple of changes, commit those, and then I'll show that those applied in Azure Repos. So again, if you've used our GitHub integration, it's a very similar, it's exact same workflow actually. The only difference was you had to do that small setup at the beginning. Instead of installing a GitHub application, you have to configure that in org settings, but that happens just once and it's pretty easy to do. So also here, I'm making a small change to the pipeline. Adding some notes, because I'm sure you all add notes to all of your pipelines, saying, well documenting your work. And now you can see, that we've added the file, and one file has been removed, and one file is tracked and has been modified locally. So you get that quick visibility in the git status column to what's changed, very similar to the normal Git experience. Then it shows the changes that I'm going to commit, enter the message. It's going to commit. Now, again, these could be, even the same, two different developers could be working on the same project at the same time with two different feature branches. They just commit the changes, and then they can go over into Azure Repos, create some pull requests, have those merged, and collaborate on files that way. So here you can see in the repo, the changes are now available.